Once again, my name is George. J or J. Okay? Now, today we're going to talk about first impressions. Tell me, what do you think a first impression is?
The first thing I see at a person.
First thing you see where?
At a person.
The first thing you see in a person,
Yeah.
right? So let's have a look at some of the things that we need to know when we create a good first impression. So it's a little bit bright, so I'm not sure if we should switch off the lights or what would you like us to do? Because it's,
Like this.
okay,
Should be fine.
good. So please, Quinn, tell me, what does that slide say?
This
Can you read that okay?
good morning.
Yeah?
Today in our lesson, we are going to cover the area of creating a favorable first impression via email. We will cover structure, pronunciation, ed endings. At the end of this brief lesson, you will understand the basic of writing an email for jobs and able to pronounce words related to a job application ending in ed.
Okay, good. Phil, do you have any questions from that?
No.
Okay, good. So now it's your turn, Phil. Tell me, what does the first impressions, what are they and why are they crucial?
Impression are crucial. They can make or break an opportunity. For this reason, it's vital that your first impression is always your best one. People can change their opinion of you over time. Of course they can, but if you don't have long to sell yourself or business idea, then you don't have a second to wait. You only have 27 seconds to make a good first impression according to new research. A study among 2,000 Americans examining the art of first impression found that 7 in 10 Americans, 69%, form a first impression of somebody before they even speak. The reason why first impressions are so important is that they last well beyond that moment. This is thanks to something called the primacy effect.
Primary effect.
Is that
Oh, primacy, okay. Primacy effect.
which means that when someone experiences something before other things in a sequence, they remember that first thing more.
Okay, we've got several smileys down the bottom there, which shows a person being very unhappy, not really impressed too much, and very happy. Okay. Now, there's 4 types of impressions. Okay? The first one is when you meet someone for the first time. We all know that. The second one is the impression you meet when meeting someone in the company of another person, right? For the first time. So I'm going to ask you to stand up, quick. And I want you to come with me. We're going to talk to Fong. Come with me. Hi Fong, how are you? My name's George. Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you.
That's it. Now, what have I done wrong?
You shake hands too strong.
No, that's a good point. But I'm with somebody, and I haven't bothered to introduce who I'm with.
Wow.
Okay? So that's very important. So if you're with someone, never ignore the person you're with. Okay? Always introduce them. The way we should have done this was, good morning, Fong. My name's George. How are you? And this is my friend Quinn.
Nice to meet you. My name is Quinn.
Okay? That's how you should do it. You must always introduce who's ever accompanying you. So that's why we have that one there. Okay? And the next one is the impression you make when you're sending an email. Okay? That's a written impression. And the last one, receiving a telephone call from a potential client or customer. In this day and age, that is most probably very important because pandemic, lots of sales are carried on over the telephone. Very rarely do we meet people anymore. Okay? One-on-one. So telephone sales is a very important part of any business in this day and age. So, we have a thing called telephony. It's the spelling of an alphabet, okay? And how you do that correctly over the telephone. So I'd like you to read that for me, Quinn.
NB, there's also the International Radio Telephony Spelling Alphabet, more commonly known as the NATO phonetic alphabet. Mastering and using this alphabet is crucial in any telephone interaction with clients and general public via telephonic media. Sales, my name is Zoom. Client, how do you spell it? Sales, G, Delta, U, Uniform, N, November, G, Golf.
Yeah, so you don't pick up words in random, okay? There is a organized code that you use to tell somebody what your name is, okay? For instance, your name would be Quebec Uniform Yankee November India, okay?
Yes.
And somebody knows straight away what your name is. It's Q-U-Y-N-I. Now, if you told me what your name was, spelling your name in Vietnamese, we would have a problem, right?
Yes.
You pronounce Q for me.
Q,
Q. U.
U,
Y.
N,
N.
H.
Yeah, so it's open for misinterpretation. So this alphabet, which is internationally recognized, is the alphabet that you use to communicate with somebody professionally. Okay? So Delta Uniform November Golf is Zoom. Now you would change that around a little bit but it's pronounced Zoom with a Z. Z for Zulu, right? So it would become Zulu Uniform November Golf. Okay? Right. And there is the total alphabet in the phonetic code. Okay? Every letter in the alphabet has a particular sound. Good. And we will be teaching that again at a later date, but any questions about that?
I want to ask, so whenever someone calls us, they ask for our name, so we should give them like the explanation?
Yeah, especially if they're a foreigner. Because let's look at, say, the letter J, right? So your name might be, my name might be George, but someone's hearing J. They're not hearing golf, G for golf. So if I want to spell my name, it's Golf Echo Oscar Romeo Golf Echo, right?
Yes.
And by telling them that, they know exactly what your name is because they'll write it down and they'll spell it correctly.
Yeah. So what if I just say Q-U-Y-N-H?
Okay, you're a little bit of an exception
Yes.
because your pronunciation of the alphabet is pretty good. However, the purpose of this alphabet is so that there is no miscommunication, right? It's all of those words have been internationally approved to give you the correct pronunciation of a letter in the alphabet. So you would still use it, but you would give them that alphabet, Quebec Uniform Yankee November India, so that they would write it down correctly.
What about Zoom? What if I just say D-U-N-G? Is that enough?
you know that when you write the word, if you say my name is D-U-N-G, right? So they're going to say, oh, in English that's dung. And it's not a very pleasant word, right? So you then need to quantify that and say, oh, but in Vietnamese it's pronounced Zoom, Zulu, Uniform, November, Golf. Okay? But the purpose is that it takes away any miscommunication. But very important. Okay, next one, Fong. What does this say?
You get one chance to make a first impression. Many employers require you to apply to a position via applicant tracking software. It's still fairly common to send a job application email instead, and when you send this email, your pitch had better to be good. Is your foot in the door. After all, you only get one chance to make a first impression. HR professionals and hiring managers are often
Besieged.
by emails, so those that fail to grab their attention immediately are likely to be ignored. To ensure your job application email get a response, follow these do's and don'ts.
Yeah, follow these do's and don'ts. So, do we have any questions there? What about the phrase, foot in the door? What's that? If you've got your foot in the door, what have you done? Ah, I got my foot in the door.
That means you get 50%.
Well, when you knock on the door, you're invited in, right?
Yeah.
So, by using the expression foot in the door, you've gone from the outside to the inside, right? You've gone that next step to actually meeting somebody. Okay? You've got your foot in the door. Any other questions about that? No? We'll move on because we don't have a lot of time. And there's the code. Next bit. Now, there's my 5 steps. Other people might have other 5 steps. Okay? But they're mine. Please, Quinn, what are they?
What to include in your job application email? Your email job application letter is a cover letter. It means that in the intent of emails it should let your recipient. Is that?
Okay, stop there. So you don't need to do any more. You do not need to attach another cover letter with your application. Your email is your cover letter. Okay? Don't make the mistake that a lot of people do. They attach another cover letter and they also put their resume in there, and sometimes the resume and the cover letter are almost the same. Okay? So you don't do that. You make your cover letter your email. Okay? Now, what's the next bit there?
Why you are writing, which job you are applying for, what's your qualification for the job, what you have to offer the company, how you will follow up or know, or how the recipient can get in touch with you. Tips for writing a successful application email. Your email does not have to be lengthy. Here are some few tips for how to assemble your application letter.
Okay, good. Thank you, Quinn. Okay, now, I've put up there, what's it say, please, Storm?
Don't be vague.
Don't be vague. Don't be vague. What's being vague? It's like you go over something, under something, around it, but you don't get to the point. Okay? Being vague. You give too much detail
Like,
and not get to the point. Okay?
But
So-
what is the point?
Well, the point is what you're trying to sell. The point is you, and why are you good for them? What have you got that they want? That's the point. Okay? Right. So, have a look at that form. What's it say?
hires search their inboxes looking for individual names, roles, or job ID number. So the subject line that say just job application or response to advertisement risk. not being found.
Yeah, so I don't know how many emails Cal would receive every day. I'd imagine it's lots, right? Lots and lots. So if she just looks up there, position vacant, application, right, job application, there's nothing there in the subject line, right? She might be looking for somebody in particular. But if you just put that, it gets lost with thousands of others, right? So we don't do that. We
What
do
we
this.
Should we type our names or something?
We're getting to that. You're a little bit ahead of me, Quinn.
Yeah.
Slow down. Okay, there we are. Subject line, right? Your turn. And it's answering your question.
Since HR manager receive a lot of emails, make it easy for them to filter application emails. Include your names and the job title you are applying for in the message subtitle line. If a job being assigned a posting number, as happens on Craigslist.
Yeah, Craigslist is a newspaper in the United States that focuses on advertising positions. And every position has a number, right? And it would be good if HR companies in Vietnam actually put a number, a job application number, when they advertise and stuff. Continue.
Provide this as well. For example, subject line, application new to link social media marketing assistant position, 4435.
Okay, so that 4435 is the application number. Okay, now the very important part here is that we've included the word application. Okay, so they know, HR knows that when they get that, that's a position that someone's applying for. Okay?
What is 4435?
It's just, that is just a code I made up that was advertised for that position.
Yeah.
So remember I said every position should have a code number, right?
Is that like they post it on the newspaper and then they have
Yeah,
it on
you
it?
post it in the newspaper, you use that code. So when the person applies, they're applying for that particular job number.
Yeah. It's unusual in Vietnam. So.
It is unusual, but it's standard practice in outside of Vietnam.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
So that's
And it
why-
would be good if some of the Vietnamese companies adopted that.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along. Next bit, Phong, you're going to do number 2. Just a little bit more on subject line. I've just put some other examples of subject lines there. You must include the word application and your name. They are essential, okay? Don't just put position vacant. You could also do an ID code if it has one. So your name, the word application, the position, account manager, and the ID code. If you have a degree, you could put Peter Davis, Bachelor of Science, application, pharmacist. So put the degree in. And then the other one is application Mary Evans, experienced occupational therapist, vacancy number. So there, she's marketing herself. She's telling you that she's good as an experienced occupational therapist. Okay? So there's an opportunity to sell yourself.
But would that be too long for a subject line?
They do say keep it brief. However, if you can sell yourself, use the subject line to do it. Okay?
I agree because we do something different.
Remember, first impression.
Yeah.
Okay? First impression, wow, there's an experienced occupational therapist. I need that qualification. Right? Perfect. really happy you agree with me, Quinn.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I just want to understand more because something it's unusual. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, that's good. Questions are good, right? That's the whole purpose of it. Now, we've got a salutation form. What is a salutation?
If possible, addressing to a specific person.
It's a greeting.
Disagree?
It's a greeting. Hi. Right? Hello. How are you? I'm fine. Thank you. Right? So, if possible, address your email to a specific person if you have one. So, if there was on the application Tal's name, so when I sent her the email, I would have said, hi Tal or hello Tal. Okay? If there isn't one, do a little bit of research and find out who the person is. Go to the website, find out who the HR manager is. Okay? And then address it to them personally. Okay? Continue with that from sometimes.
Sometimes you can determine this by reviewing the company website or by calling their front office to ask who manage their jobs. Such as, if a name isn't available, you can open with Dear Hiring Manager as in the sample letter below, or with the more formal but outdated to whom this may concern.
Yeah, we still use to whom it may concern. I think in Vietnam you use it still a lot. It's a little outdated, but you can still use it. But they say these days, dear hiring manager or dear HR manager. Okay? Good. Any questions there?
I heard that the phrase "to whom it may concern" is it's unpractical because he said that when you use this phrase, it means that you don't know who you are writing to.
That's right. That's why they said it's a little bit outdated.
Yes.
Right? That's the reason behind that statement.
Yeah.
Okay? And the purpose and the reason is exactly as you said. Right? You don't know who's getting it.
So what if we change it into dear Mr. or Mrs. instead of to whom it may concern?
Well, you don't know really if they're a Mr., a Miss, right?
Yeah.
Or Mrs.,
Yeah.
right? The titles, because of, not here, but in other countries, because of same-sex marriage and all of those sort of things, and, you know, gender equality, blah, 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 it's not good sometimes now to use Miss, Mr. or Mrs.
Yeah.
Okay? Everybody's the same. That's what they say. So just use like dear Tao. Okay? Dear Quinn, dear Fong. Okay? Not dear Mr. Fong, dear Mrs. Tao, or dear Miss Quinn.
Yeah.
Because really, we don't know your actual relationship. We don't know.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay, good. Ha, 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 ha. The first paragraph, when?
In the first paragraph of the letter, it's important to explain why you are writing. Mention where you saw the job application, the date when it was posted, and how you found the posting. For example, presented on the company's website, posted on the job search board. If you were referred by a friend or mention this here.
Okay, example there. Give me an example of you're applying for a job and you know somebody in the company. How would you put that?
I saw this advertisement presented on the company website, and I also follow a friend's recommendation.
Okay, you followed a friend's recommendation. You could also say, I was advised by Ms. Tao of blah, 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 to apply for this job. Okay? So that way you bring in the person who referred you to the job application. Now, you have to mention where you saw the job application, because that helps the company determine if the money they're spending on advertising is going to the right source. Okay? If you're spending money, lots and lots of money advertising with Facebook, but this person comes in and says, oh, by the way, I saw this job on Twitter, maybe you're spending money in the wrong area, and you should be spending it with Twitter. Okay? The date it was posted, why do you think that's important?
Because the marketing fees is expensive.
The date it was posted because
Because the date.
the job may have closed, right? You may have already found somebody for that job, and now their application was a little bit too late. So always important to put the date it was posted and how you found the posting. Okay? On Facebook or something like that. Good. Any questions from that?
Do you have any example for this first paragraph?
Oh yes, we'll be going to that.
Yeah.
You're a little bit ahead of me all the time there, Gwen.
I don't think things like that. You have the same ideas, I don't think.
I have to assume that I've got people who can actually be involved here. There's lots of students that don't ask anything at all and really have to draw them out. Okay, now Fung, the middle paragraphs.
This session of letter is when you can make a pitch for your candidacy. Why would you be a good fit for a job? What can you offer the company? Highlight your most relevant jobs and responsibilities as well as your accomplishments. Make sure not to copy your resume directly.
Yeah, very important there. Don't copy directly from your resume into your covering letter. I mentioned it before, but don't do it. Okay? You need to sell yourself. Why would you be a good fit for the job? Okay?
What skill I have that is suitable.
Yes. What skills you have that's suitable for the job?
Is experience related?
Experience, yes. What even things like your future ambitions come in here, right? You might want to be something in particular, and you're very passionate about it, and there's your chance to mention what your future goals are, right? What you want to be and why this job is going to fit in really well with what you want to do. Okay? Now, this is the part where we say goodbye. Quinn.
You use this space to thank the recipient for reading your emails and mention that your resume is attached.
Okay, good. Never forget to thank them. Okay? Always thank the recipient for reading your email.
Yes.
Okay? It's done here in Vietnam very well. Okay? People are always polite. They always take time out to thank somebody.
Yes.
But in overseas, it's not always the case. Keep going.
It is also the space to thank recipients for considering your application. State when and how you will follow up as well.
Okay.
Polite.
State when and how you will follow up as well. What do you think it means? How you will follow up.
Check the emails.
Well, you might say, look, I will give you a call about this application in 7 days' time. How you will follow up. I will call you.
I don't know how to say because the phone is always with me. Looking forward to hearing from you.
No, you will call them. Remember, you're sending this application to somebody, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to say, okay, I'm going to follow up with you. I'm going to give you a call in 7 days just to see if you got my application. It sounds a little bit pushy, doesn't it? You're just sitting there and waiting for the fates to take their course.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to interact. Sometimes you have to take the initiative,
Yeah.
especially if it's something you really want. You married?
Not yet.
You married?
No.
How about you, Phil? No. Okay. Well, my wife's not ashamed to say, hey, you know, can you remember that dress that I saw in the shop last week? Yeah. Well, what do you think? Do you think I can get it? She just assumed that because she said she liked it last week that I would get it. Right? But she followed up. She said, well, did you see it? Did you like it? Would you buy it for me? Right? 7 days later. Because she thought, oh, he didn't get it. Okay?
But I think it's a little bit awkward if the interviewees doesn't want to take our application.
Oh, you have to be aggressive. Right? In today's market, you've got to be aggressive. There's lots of people applying for the same jobs. Right? So take the initiative and follow up. Because if you don't, someone else will.
Yes.
And the first thing HR manager thinks, well, that person's really keen. They called me to check to see if I got the application. And most probably they think, well, you know, that person got initiative,
Yes.
right? Maybe I should look at hiring them. And they'll put them possibly down on the short list.
Yes. So the purpose of the call is just to check whether they receive our applications and how it's going. Right?
Yeah.
And to sound like we really want the job.
You can tell them that if you want to.
Yeah.
I would just restrict it to simply saying, hey, I sent you an application on the 23rd. I'd like to check or double check to make sure that you received it. And then she might say, oh yeah, I got that. I was going to ask you a question, but now I've got you on the telephone, I can ask you. Right?
With 7
You said you
days-
lived in Calzay. Is that too far from where our office is? So there could be a question like that. So automatically you're back with maybe a lot further in front than somebody else because you're going to say, no, it's not a problem.
Yes. I
Hmm.
understand.
Would 7 days be too much?
Personally, I would leave it like 5 working days. 5 working days. So, if you send it on a Wednesday, you wait Thursday, Friday, and then call the following week on either Wednesday the following week.
Well, I've never thought of that, but it sounds good.
Yeah, you've got to go after the work,
Yes.
right? And you have every excuse to call and ask.
Yes.
The simple, I just wanted to check to see if you received it. Okay, right, now we're finishing up. What is it, please, from? Polite close.
Polite clothes. Use a polite close, such as based on sincerely to sign off your letter, then type your full name. Email signature. You can also include your email signature, which is an easy way to provide contact information to recipients. List your name, phone number, email address, and LinkedIn profile URL. If you have one, for example, to link entlink at gmail.com 555 linkedin.com/in/entlink.
Okay, good. Any questions there about your email signature? Pretty straightforward, right? But remember to enclose it. Okay, good. Now, Quinn,
Yes. Don't forget about your resume. Attach it to email message in the format requested by the employer. If a specific format isn't required, send it as a PDF or Word document.
okay. How many times have you applied for a job and you forgot to enclose your resume?
Not exactly on application, but I forgot to attach the file for something.
Have you done it?
Yes.
Have you done it? Oh, I don't believe you. I'm sure you have. How about you, Tao? Have you done
I
it?
think
Forgot to attach an attachment?
I think I don't.
I have, and I'm proud to admit it. I have, right? And it happens. So, don't forget. However, there's a very good reason why you send it as PDF. Why is that, Clint?
It's easier to see, and